And I believe we're live. Welcome, everybody, to the weekly news show, i.e. Watch News Weekly. Decided to do it in a live format just because. Not sure. Ask our CMO, Avi, but we're doing this live. And lots of hot topics today, right? We got a lot of hot topics today. And obviously, I tend to go through watches, the news, the latest news, and I try to pick things that first and foremost interest me. But at the same token, I feel they're going to be interesting to you, and topics that you do read about here and there, but don't tend to pay attention. I put in my 5 cents. Hope you guys enjoy answering your questions you may have. And I'm going to start off with Sylvester Stallone's personal collection heading to auction. Right, 11 watches, Sotheby's, biggest auction house out there. Auction is happening on June 5th, I believe. And there's going to be a lot of watches there. Panerai, Audemars, Piaget, a couple of Patek Philippe's. Of course, the highlight of it is going to be the Grand Master Chime that's still sealed in packaging, in its original packages. Stallone, funny enough, moved away from Phillips. This is what he sold in the past, and he moved to Sotheby's. I'm not sure why he decided to do that. But again, Sotheby's isn't the biggest. Let's go to the first. Excuse me. Let's go to the first watch. And that is going to be the Grandmaster Chime. It says to sell between $2.5 and $5 million. It's going to sell for more. And the reason it's going to sell for more because to get a Grandmaster Chime, you literally have to give up your liver nowadays to get it from Patek Philippe. Those that actually do end up getting it as an allocation piece or a subscription piece or application piece, you literally never going to be able to buy it from those people because nobody ever buys this watch to resell it. The fact that it's single sealed, let's go back to that for a second, is a bit odd because it's a newer watch, and odds are usually these watches don't come out sealed because Patek made it very clear to their dealers back in the day. There was a whole hype about single seal, double seal. They were worth more than the unsealed ones. And Patek said, if anybody's going to be out there selling a sealed watch and we catch you with it, you're going to lose your dealership, if you will. So I'm kind of surprised that this actually stayed sealed with Stallone. But I guess if you're Stallone and you tell Patek, I want to keep it sealed and throw it in the back of the safe, perhaps you can do that. Let's go to the next watch, and that's going to be the 5711 300 Nautilus, estimated to sell between $200,000 and $400,000. Again, guys, remember these estimates. Every single auction house will estimate lower, about 2/3 lower than the watches usually fetch, depending on how the market is doing. Sometimes it's even 4 times lower if the market is hot. In the case of today's market, perhaps you can very easily take the lower estimate and probably multiply it by 3. And the reason they do that is because not to sway people away from bidding. It's a very simple trick. It's the oldest trick in the book. Everybody knows about it. They still do it. Yet, it is what it is. This is the trick. Everybody knows it, and it still works. In fact, I do buy some things in auctions myself, and sometimes that even works on me. I see a low estimate. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That seems like it's going to be a deal. This is a watch that traded over $1 million in a hot market, right? I'm actually very, very curious to see what it's going to fetch in the open market. Now, the results in general are going to be a bit biased because these belong to Sylvester Stallone. It's a big deal when you have a big name behind, a prominence, if you will, right? Behind a very, very famous figure. I'm a fan of Sylvester Stallone. I mean, I'm from Philly. Rocky, come on now. I'm going to go to the next one, and that was the 5711 in stainless steel. Again, they're estimating at $50,000 to $100,000. Current market price on one of these is around $100,000, depending on condition, how new it is. Expect for this to fetch over the $100,000 mark again, because this is a 5711 Auto. It's one of the most popular watches out there, yet it does belong to Sylvester Stallone. Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Tourbillon 50th anniversary, estimated to sell between $100,000 and $200,000. That one is up in the air. Highly complicated Audemars have been sort of weak as of late in the market. Anything that's over that $150,000, $200,000 mark. But again, this being Sotheby's, the clientele that they have, and again, this being a Sylvester Stallone watch and a 50th anniversary, because 50th anniversaries were very much slept on when they first came out because AP decided to throw them out there all at once. So again, one of those results that I'm not 100% certain. It can go either way. It can be really bad or it can be really, really good. Cartier Pasha Sea Timer, estimated to sell $15,000 to $30,000. Today, it's about a $17,000, $18,000 watch on the market. Again, not a watch a major auction house would even often take. Let me mute this real quick. Because it's just not that big a deal of a watch, but because of Sylvester Stallone did. It's part of his collection. What are they going to tell him? No, we're not going to take the Sea Timer in gold. I actually like the watch a lot. I like the combination bracelet. Pasha is one of the most iconic watches out there. I do like it. Next up, we have the 1950 Chrono Slch, estimated to sell between $6,000 and $12,000. You have no idea how hot this watch was when it came out. The white version, the white dial version, and this version dial, because Panerai was all the rage at the time. Sylvester made the brand, you can say, or at least it was one of the reasons, the brand, was hot. He was that celebrity when he wore the Pam 196 Daylight in the movie Daylight. That was a big deal. And this was also around the time where bigger was better. This is a humongous 48 millimeter watch. You can go diving to the other side of the world with this thing. But again, typical Sylvester Stallone watch, huge watch, and this will go over its high estimate of $12,000. Panerai Luminous Submersible Slide piece unique, estimated to sell between $30,000 and $60,000, and it's engraved with a signature in the back. This is a watch I would bid on personally. So we've had watches in here that were owned by celebrities prior, that were featured in movies and things of that nature. And every time, I think you guys have the wrong watch on the screen, by the way. Yes, no, oh, I guess that's it. Yeah, this is it. I guess it has its custom strap on there. So with this particular watch, it's another slide tack. It's 48 millimeters. It's got to be heavy as all hell, considering it's a 48 millimeter. And again, this is a watch that I myself going to consider bidding. So let's hope it goes for the lower estimate, which I highly doubt. Next one, that was the watch you guys put on the screen prior to that. Again, 1950 Regatta Classic Yacht Challenge, is estimated to sell between $20,000 and $40,000. I don't know if this reaches that estimate because this is one of the later models. Again, I know it belongs to Sylvester Stallone. I get it, but this was not. This was past Panerai's heydays in terms of the model itself. So I'm sort of in between on this one. Oh, so hold on a second. So this is the Bronzo. No, go back. You have the Bronzo, right? So this is the Bronzo that was estimated to sell between $30,000 and $60,000, number 0000 of 1,000. And he wore this exact watch in the field of expendables. This is the watch that I would myself be personally most after, because not only did it belong to him, but he also wore it in the movie. Actually, I like the expendables 1, 2, and 3. Is there 4? Obviously, is there 4? Yeah, there's 4, right? I like all of them. I like. No, he wore it in 2. It says that he wore it in expendables, but maybe it wasn't 4. But long story short, I like those type of shoot 'em up, senseless action flicks, no drama, just go kill everybody kind of thing. And I think all those movies were great. Some may disagree, but hey, listen, I also like the original Commander with Arnold Schwarzenegger when he pulled out a machine gun and seemed to shoot forever, which was great. So yeah, definitely, if I had to pick one to bid on, this would be the one. I mean, I would bid on the Grandmaster Chime, but that's not up not in my budget at the moment. Piaget Polo Grande, estimated to sell between $6,000 and $12,000. Not a popular watch, but with the latest news of Piaget Polo making waves of releasing that new reissue of the Polo for the 150th anniversary, this may catch a little bit of steam. And again, guys, you're going to have two types of bidders here. You're going to have the watch people first and foremost, but you're also going to have Sylvester Stallone fans. I was about to say Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're also going to have Sylvester Stallone fans here, right? So if this is a watch that's to somebody's liking, this would probably be one of the ones that sell for a cheaper price. Again, don't quote me on it because you never know. I've always said it, auctions is all about two dicks in a room sometimes, where one guy really wants something and so does the other one, and it becomes, a shoving match, a thing of attitude, if you will, right? Now, let me go on to the DayDate, $25,000 to $50,000 with the slide engraved on the case back. Again, this is a watch that's going to fetch upwards of its upper estimate, no doubt about it. Beautiful, gorgeous green dial. Always like that. Another quick bit of news. Watches of Switzerland acquires Roberto Coin. And why did I decide to put this in here is, listen, we've seen all the news in regards to Watches of Switzerland. First, they get hit with Booker being bought by Rolex. Then they get hit with the news they're not going to get the same amount of allocation of gold pieces. Therefore, they're expecting their revenue to go down for next year. And now, and that their stock took a beating, went down, went back up, went down, went back up. It's not good news for the largest retailer in the world. So picking up Roberto Coin, which is a brand, I remember selling this brand 15 years ago because we also do jewelry. They really make nice jewelry, and they really made a good name for themselves. They really marketed themselves well. They're becoming a household name. I remember going back not so long ago where they were just another Italian jewelry displayed in the Italian Hall in Hong Kong. They become much, much bigger than that. They made a humongous name for themselves. And I'm not surprised that Watches Switzerland actually purchased them, because with that 130 million, I don't know what they paid for it. With that $130 million, I'm assuming they're adding a significant amount of revenue that already exists across multiple sales point and their own sales point throughout the country, here in USA, and the world. Now, again, Watches of Switzerland has over 200 stores, okay? Um, and 57 of them being in the United States. This is a good addition. This is a good addition to revenue. So good move on Watches of Switzerland part. Let's see. Now we're going back to Only Watch, right? Finally, it happened amidst all the controversy and all that stuff, and even a couple of brands pulling out. Only Watch auction did happen, okay, and it finally took place in Geneva. Actually, my friend Adam was there live. I got some live videos from there. Now, they completed their financial audit, revised the structures, governance, whatever it is that they did to make right. Like, apparently, there were some issues, but because it happened, leads me to believe there was really nothing crazy there, or no misappropriation of funds or whatever people were talking about. Because people always speculate. If there was misappropriation of funds, if there was something shady going on behind the scenes, I don't think this auction would have happened, and Only Watch would cease to exist. Now, speaking of auctions, have you guys heard the news? The entire Christie's website went down. They were hacked during an auction, right? It was a security issue. And no online bids were taken. All the bidding was done by phone in the auction room of Geneva, which probably meant that some people got some great deals on some great watches. Let me go to the Mac Daddy of them all, right? Everybody watches and sees what is the Patek. What is the grand complication Patek going to fetch? Now, mind you, there's a lot of entrants into the Only Watch, some from independent watchmakers that simply can't afford to give a high complication. Patek, of course, is one of those companies that can afford to give up a very, very expensive watch, in this case, a minute repeater, right? Now, obviously, they sort of have the same MO. They'll take a highly complicated piece, they'll make it in stainless steel, right? Which they never, ever do. And listen, this thing opened up at 5 million and jumped to 8 million, then 10. It was jumping up quicker than you can say Patek Philippe. And of course, who bought it? Zach Liu. Who is Zach Liu? That's the guy that paid $6.5 million for a Tiffany blue Patek, which everybody was saying, well, that's outrageous. And it was outrageous, because when they actually hit the market, I don't know of one that sold for more than $3.5 million. And right now the market price on them is around $1.5 million, which is still insane. It's a $60,000 watch, right? That they made 170 of, right? Great collectible, don't get me wrong. And he bought, when did he buy that? He bought that in 2021, I think, 3 years ago is when he pays, Zach paid $3.5 million. Another astonishing result from Recepi. And guys, I don't know if you noticed on my channel, Roman Sharf channel, I put out a recap of Geneva, which is basically telling you about my entire experience. And now we're following it up with separate videos highlighting some of the watchmakers that I've visited. Today we launched JeanClaude Van Damme, which, if you guys haven't seen that video yet, I urge you to check it out. This man is a legend. I mean, he's a legend, okay? He single-handedly saved the Swiss watch industry from the quartz crisis, okay? Let's start there. And he did make an amazing watch Biver. Make sure you check that video out, because his personality is even bigger than his career. And so we're doing MBNF, I believe is posting next. And I did have a sit-down with Recepi to talk to him one-on-one. What a guy. What a humble, nice individual. Also comes as an immigrant from the Eastern Bloc. I can relate to that. But stay tuned for that. But the good news is his anti-magnetic or anti-magnetique. How's my French, Avi? Is that good? Anti-magnetique? I feel like as long as you like do something magnetique, you know, I feel like it comes out good, no? So $2.3 million. And I'm not surprised. Last auction result for his watch was $850,000. What's more impressive is the fact that this guy's going to go down in the books. And those people, or that individual that paid $2.3 million for this watch, absolutely knows this. And what's better to have than a piece unique, something that's never going to be made from a watchmaker that is very well on its way to becoming a legend. So people ask me, would you pay $2.3 million for that Recepi, right? Because on the one hand, you know, you have a Patek Philippe, which is sort of like money in the bank, right? It's proven, it's there. And here you have an up and coming independent that seemingly is a nobody in comparison to some of the big boys. And I still would say I would probably lean towards Patek Philippe, but I would certainly, if money was no object and I could buy, well, I'd buy them all, to be fair. There's a lot of other smaller brands I would have bought. But I would pay that 2.3 million from that rich chap. And I guarantee you, whoever bought it, if he decides to put it on the open market, he can resell it and make a profit. Well, it is a right. You're right, Avi. It is a write-off. You're not wrong there. Maybe we should get our revenue up a little bit, and I'll start buying these things, and then explain to Adrian that, hey, this is a write-off. Can you imagine that conversation? When I would see what happened when I bought the Minion. What do you think would happen if I bought a $2 million rich chap? FP Journe Chronometer Blue Furtif. Anybody know what Furtif means? Anyone? Google, Siri. let's let's see. Furtif. What does furtif mean? I really got to learn French. Furtif. Translate furtif into English. Stealth bomber. Oh no, Bombardier Furtif is stealth bomber. So this is stealth. Okay, so this is from their sport line, $2.2 million. Okay, they also used the occasion to introduce the new caliber, 1522, right? It's got a power reserve. It's got a moon phase in the back, which I don't understand why it's in the back. I probably put it in the front, but because it's a stealth watch, I guess they didn't want to. I don't know how this translates stealth. Yeah, I guess maybe that's why they call it stealth. I don't know, but. I don't know what's so stealthy about this watch. Beautiful, bright blue dial and a humongous red hand, but this is a watch I would not pay $2.2 million for. I'm sorry. I've seen some record-breaking auction results from FP Journe, like when they did the #1 pieces, right? When they broke up the collection, they did the pieces that are #1, and I'm just like, no, no. I didn't even expect this to come anywhere close to this when I did the video and I reviewed the pieces that were going into auction. But you know what? Good for Francois-Paul Journe. I'm happy genuinely happy for him. Just not something I think I would pay that much for. And here's the one that broke the internet. We posted this on Instagram, and everybody's like, "What in the actual is that?" Right? And I was the first one to say I really, really dig it. Now there was, huh? Yeah, you're not wrong. But look. Richard Mille has never been afraid to try something that's completely out of this world, completely out of left field, and something that's just like out of the ordinary. Am I surprised this thing fetched over $2.5 million? Absolutely not. Okay. Would I buy this watch if money was not object? Absolutely, and give it to my wife. I would flip the watch the other way because when you look at it, it's this way. It's because technically, if you want to see what time it is, you do this. It's upside down. But it's still a highly complicated timepiece. The avant-garde design, everything about this, the talisman. To be fair, Steve Will Do It did it first. If you guys remember, he bought a Richard Mille from our friends at TPT, and he made a necklace out of it. I think it was like a 6702, if I'm not mistaken. But again, this is what Only Watch is really all about. It allows these companies to do something out of the norm, to do something super special. And this is very, very special as far as I'm concerned. Is it a piece of jewelry? Is it a watch? I think it's both. And I would see somebody like a Pharrell wearing this. And I don't know who bought it, but $2.6 million. I was expecting a result around the $2 million range, and it definitely went over. This was a bit of a disappointment. I was thinking that this is a watch that would probably potentially get to that $1 million mark. Okay, I talked about this watch when they announced it. I think it was the coolest thing ever. Collaboration between my favorite independent, Max Buser and friends, as well as Moser, who I respect very much as well. The Streamliner line has been a blessing from Moser. And the one thing I've always said about the Streamliner line is that it's very difficult for a company to produce a sports watch with a bracelet on it, specifically with a bracelet on it. And I think that Moser made that transition so cool and so seamlessly that it's one of the few brands that it was just taken well right away. Majority of the time, you make someone on a bracelet where you've been predominantly a strap watch company, it's not taken very well, and people tend to rebel against it. They don't like it. Streamliner because if you look at the shape of the watch, specifically the bracelet, it's very organic. There's no sharp corners. There's no, you know what I mean? It almost looks like, and I said it before, like the bracelet is hand hammered. Like my favorite Moser to date is gonna be still the Vanta Black Rose Gold Tourbillon. Although I saw the new skeleton in Geneva, and that thing is absolutely bonkers. The new one that they made for Alpine. I mean, I'm an F1 fanatic. I'm a little bit biased, although it's not my team. But the pink and the blue they made for the Alpine team is also pretty cool on those straps. $420,000, nevertheless, is still a great result. And I think somebody got a real value here, right? Because, yeah, this is a minute repeater. This is a complicated timepiece. This is a piece unique. The little panda, you know, it's just, I don't know. I think there was a deal at 420. And who says that Hublot does not fetch big dollars? Of course they do. I think one of the most Hublot is known for their limited editions. I mean, they made more limited edition than I can possibly even think of, right? In the world of soccer or football, as they call it elsewhere, there's a ton of limited editions. Probably one of my favorites, what was the watch that Manchester United, they made a big King Power Hublot where they took the grass from the field of the soccer field and they dry froze it inside these little tubes that serve as the hour markers. Of course, Takashi Murakami was an amazing move on their part. You know, people ask me, well, Hublot never sells over retail. Well, actually, Takashi Murakami pieces are probably the only pieces they do at the moment, at least. It was a collaboration that brought two worlds together. Takashi has a humongous fan base. And by creating the watches that they did, I think they appeal to a multitude of audiences. And Hublot is really good about that. Don't discount Hublot. I now hear they're building a third factory next to the other two that they've already built in Switzerland because business is good, right? And people always ask me, like, well, why are people continually buying Hublot? I'm walking around Bal Harbor Mall in Bal Harbor, Florida, and this is where you have AP Boutique, Richard Mille Boutique, Chopard, Booker, Panerai, you name it. Every boutique under the sun is there, including the Hublot Boutique and a Rolex Boutique too, by the way. And there's always people in the Hublot Boutique, and people are like, wow, what are they selling over there? How are they selling this stuff? And I've always said it, they have stuff to sell. You walk into Richard Mille, there's not a single watch in there. Rolex, waiting list, AP, nothing. So why they selling watches? Because they have product, and they have good looking product that's well made. But anyway, $464,000. To be fair, considering the market price on the regular one tourbillon that they have, the one with the thing spins inside, the crystal one, considering I think this was somewhat of a deal too for somebody who is getting a deal at both ends. From the art perspective, because art is extremely collectible and it has a lot of value, especially from Murakami. Some of his original pieces go for buku money. And of course, from the horological perspective, this was something I was extremely happy about. This was one of my top picks for only watch auction, the Louis Vuitton watch, the Tambour, the Einstein automatic, right? And I was very pleasantly surprised to see $773,000 fetched on this watch. I mean, I was thinking maybe a couple of 100,000, maybe 150,000. Nowhere. I did not expect this type of results. Now, people always talk. There's always controversy that brands will pump up their own product and so on and so forth. Maybe, but certainly I was happy. Taking all that aside, I was extremely happy to see this watch fetch that kind of money because I think that watch is amazing. That would be one of the watches I would buy myself. Disappointed a little bit with the Urwick Time Space Blade. Okay, now 70. I think it retails slightly under that on the regular edition of this. I actually saw this thing in person while I was at Urwick in Geneva a few weeks ago. That's also another one of those separate videos that I'm going to put out. I interviewed both Martin Fry and Felix Baumgartner at their headquarters. Amazing spot, amazing people, amazing brand. I always like them. I was a little disappointed in this one because I felt like it deserves more. But here you get into a scenario where people usually come to watch auctions to buy watches, and this is a clock. But this clock is just, if you guys get a chance to read up what this clock is, go to Urwick's website, check it out. Check out the remote for this thing. It looks like a Jedi sword. And, you know, when I first held it in my hand, I was legit expecting a laser to come out. And this thing is in person, live, when you see it, like I will have one of those in my office one day, or perhaps my house. And I think we're going to cut it off here. I'm going to maybe take a few questions. I'm sure you guys have piled up some questions and opinions. I'll take them if you guys want to pop them up on the screen. I'm going to need my, Well, let's see. Let me read through some of it. I am wearing the. What am I wearing? I don't know if you guys can see it. I am wearing the Zenith. Actually, hold on. I can make this easier. Let's see, because I get to see what I'm doing this time around. Up. No. Wait. Up. Yeah. Can you guys see that? I don't know if it's. Anyway, Zenith 0G. It's kind of like a tourbillon, but not a tourbillon. It's basically the concept behind this watch is you guys know how the tourbillon works, right? If it adjusts the movement for the effect that gravity has, the mainspring, so the watch runs extremely accurate. But we also know that it was made for a pocket watch, so the only time a tourbillon worked is when it was perpendicular to the ground. So what this watch ensures is that no matter how you turn it, okay, it always stays perpendicular to the ground, right? Hence 0G. 10 pieces made. This is the crystal version they made it for one of their boutiques. There's a lot more about this watch. I'm actually going to do a separate video on it with Nina. She asked me to record something. The use of materials here is amazing. You got meteorite, you got hand painted parts of the dial. There's a ton of stuff here, not to mention obviously the beautiful crystal case. Let's see. That Moser is sick. Yes, it is. Einstein, yes. See, I'm not the only one that agrees with it. What brand is to be the next FP Journe? Well, you can't. People have asked me that before, and hey, I don't have a glass ball. I told you guys this before, but it's not fair to ask that question because in reality, FP Journe is FP Journe. Francois Paul Journe is unique as a watchmaker, unique as an individual, and they're unique as a brand. But there are other outside factors that you have to factor in regards to making a brand. Are you referring to the fact that they're blew up and it takes 7 years to get their watch from them, or that they're reselling on a secondary market for buku dollars? Perhaps that's somebody, you have brands like this. Look at Richepi. You know, if his watches ever to appear in the secondary market, they fetch stupid money, right? And every brand has a winner like that within the brand, right? There's certain models that sell in the Patek Philippe lineup for crazy money, and Audemars Piguet, et cetera, et cetera. From a watchmaking perspective, you have to look to the independents again. Who is the up and coming and most talented watchmaker out there? Because FP Journe is exactly that. He's an extremely talented watchmaker. And what's going to be the chase within the watchmaking itself? And I'll explain. The chase within the watchmaking I'm referring to is that as of today, the ultimate chase within watchmaking was accuracy, right? Look at this tourbillon, right? The ultimate goal here is to achieve the ultimate accuracy, right? What is going to be that next chase within watchmaking? Are we going to go back to, handmade watches, hand finishes and things like that to reach the ultimate perfections in terms of the quality of the actual watch made in the old ways, and the likes of what Grubel Forze doing with their handmade pieces, right? We're going to achieve perfection in a particular complication or genre or price point, like JeanClaude Van with his Biver watch, which I saw. That's the video that's up now, by the way. Perhaps that's going to be it. It's a very difficult question to answer because at the end of the day, it's a matter of what you, the end consumer, appreciates most at the moment. Because at the end of the day, we have this thing called trends, right? That it's very hard to jump over. And that's why a lot of great made watches are left in the dust simply because somebody dubbed something popular. You can have a celebrity put on a particular watch tomorrow, and because he has millions, hundreds of millions of eyes on him, all of a sudden that becomes the next FP because everybody wants it. Supply and demand is a bitch when it comes to stuff like this. And it can be a blessing and it can also be a curse for certain brands. Guys, catch me next time on the next live. I appreciate everyone that has tuned in. And we'll see you next week on the next Watch News Weekly, either live or not live. Not sure yet.